for the presentation. So I really would like to introduce myself on the topic of this organic SMA food inflection. You see, for today, the small and medium enterprise are the basis of our food security. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated and established over time the digitization of system foods. Generation Z social network apparently disrupting our achievements. Massive data flow can serve the common good just as much than to establish control over a handful of powerful players. Politicians, on the other hand, often have tend to neglect this silent majority and are, on the contrary, more inclined to undergo the influence of more powerful actors with whom cooperation is easier. The organic agriculture sector is booming. It's multiplied by 7 the last 20 years. In 2019, it was almost $112 billion, and 80% of the world market is in Europe and America. 84% of organic producers located in developing and emerging countries. And in 2020, American market increased by 12%. That is a lot. For Madagascar, organic agriculture sector, the Madagascar agriculture sector represents 30% of the country's GDP and employs more than 80% of the working population. In 2020, almost 80,000 hectares of certified area are certified organic. That is multiplied by 5 in 10 years. And also the value of the organic was 120 million in 2020, multiplied by 5 in 10 years. The most valuable thing for the producer today in Madagascar is producer. We multiply by 15 in 10 years. So that is making a lot of people aware about the organic. 83% are going to Europe and 30% are going to America. So in economics, Madagascar is very ranked first in the world for the exported of certified organic products such vanilla, cloves, ylang-ylang, shrimps, and endemic products. As you can see, you have a map of the Africa and Madagascar, the small island on your right, and you have this green country that has policy and standard and government is supporting the sector. So Madagascar is the number 4th in the up to the 55 countries in North Africa to have organic support and have organic policy. What we can see as well is that many countries don't have any little institutional capacity or government support on this case. And Madagascar is doing on the lot. And you can see on the map that there is on the East Coast a lot of organic product. Why I'm talking about this is because it's very important to have a policy to implement and to operationalization of the commitment of Madagascar Zero Hunger Challenge to eradicate hunger, ensure food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. And also to reach the Paris Agreement on climate. What we have been doing on this since many years is on the objective concept, territory, organic agriculture. It's something that we want, to protect the environment because Madagascar is classified as spot biodiversity. What we do on the field with the farmers today, it's digital participatory mapping. What you can say that's where we're using all of this technology to, let's say, connect people with the 21st centuries. Connection with all stakeholders. At the international level, we want to minimize threat to the environment in connection with the Paris Agreement. At the national use of this, we are looking for the land use of the communities. At the locals value, what we need is the physical administrative boundaries. Then they can reach their own decision about whether and how to proceed with the proposed development. What you can see, it's today we are partners that working on the traceabilities. For today, this cooperative is working with more than 4,000 producers of vanilla. In 2021, is already have the supply chain excellency leaders awards. This wants to have inclusive approach and eliminate intermediaries. Vanilla, we are the number one in the world, and improve farmers' income qualities is one of the top, let's say, goal that we do on our organic organization. Before 2005, everybody knows that we have this, let's say, closed and centralized IoT networks, and now it's more open access and networks and centralized in the cloud. But what we are actually looking at for, it's at based on the 2025 and beyond, this is this open access network, distributed cloud, with every single people who are working in transportation or clothes or whatever. What we have been done in Madagascar is the typical chain is what's from farm, sub-collector, collector, and exporter, exporter and extractor flavor house. What we have today is that the farm and the organization in one. Even big companies are working in the fragrance, and Estée Lauder, for example, they have a pilot blockchain in Madagascar with one of our members, Bio Vanilla. So their investment in the blockchain technology further enhance transparency. That's where we are looking for on the beauty industry and beyond. Partner traceability software, there's many players now in Madagascar, and there's many let's say blockchain activity is going right now for all the world. What you can see now is the calculation at living income and minimum wage in the vanilla. There is like income in the vanilla industry is more very high for the living income compared to the, let's say, the minimum wage. But farmers still have the same lives. And this is not all about the money. That's what you need to know. And you see on the picture that the farmer now are still doing some, let's work on the ground sometimes or not, and but that they're the same house. So what we have today, it's we want to push more them to be on the health, digital, and transport with this blockchain, because in the line with the AMO's regulation to reduce CO emission by 40% by 2030, we were working with Mauritians companies to work directly with them to bring our product directly or to Europe or to Africa and even on to all over the world. This future livelihood security, we say the innovation is also a source of competitiveness for agribusiness, and this innovation requires the development of human capital and their skills. It requires a double investments, acquisition of skills and clonage, in addition to acquiring the equipment. The challenge, impact transformation. Madagascar Organic Agriculture is engaged in blockchain since more than 5 years, and we are now creating our own blockchain ecosystem in Madagascar with many parties. We are to positive results in impact investment, product certification, taxation or sugar, carbon credit, all of mechanisms that encourage positive results and penalty negative results, but not add a layer of complexity and do increase the cost. Because this is one of the biggest things today is the blockchain is increasing the cost. So who is going to pay it? Data services in digital market must be designed to be accessible to SMEs. We need financial training and match it with appropriate policies in order to unleash a myriad of innovation from the services of payment and ecosystem service. One of the questions today is the data security. Who is keeping the data? So that is kind of thing that we really need to understand now. It's where we want to keep all of this data that we have from all the producers. So I would like to say thank you on this, and I'm open for the question right now. Thank you very much.
Hey, Gaëtan, thanks a lot for a nice presentation. And it reminded me of Madagascar, a beautiful country. And I had opportunity of visiting and a couple of times also had opportunity to meet His Excellency the President. And the vision of Madagascar was very clear that going forward, we want to become a hub of where the sustainable agriculture will take its route. So my question is around when we talk about traceability, I would like to understand from you your perspective because you work very closely with the farmers because the responsibly grown palm, right, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, right, this whole thing of typically taking away the tropical forest to go palm, it emerged and it gave a very negative, I'll say that international outlook to the palm farming itself, right? How do you see this happening in Madagascar? Do you see that that sustainability, not using forest and all those type of things? There is a well documented or well planned execution of those certification happening in Madagascar?
Yeah, thank you for your question. It's very interesting because the deforestation is kind of, let's say, one of the biggest challenge from the climate change in Madagascar. We have only 10% of our forests left. So that is one of the biggest thing that you have to know, that is we are not doing agriculture for deforestation. That is one of the biggest challenge today, is to do reforestation. And instead of doing reforestation with, let's say, some kind of, let's say, eucalyptus, we are working on the agriculture ways to have, let's say, traceability, of course, of the product on the palm oil. It is kind of the very, very small industry in Madagascar. The biggest one is the vanilla, for example, for the exportation as the organic, and food is rice. So all of this have to be on the way. Sustainability, we use the HCV assessment today, and this is going further on the high level, on the high environment. If you want to, let's say, invest in Madagascar, we have to follow this kind of HCV assessment.
That's great. It's good to know that Madagascar is trying to be more sustainable in its farming. I'm coming to certification when it comes to organic certification, right? And when we talk about high value product, like whether it is vanilla and pepper, which are some of the products which are coming out of Madagascar, how do you see this whole process? Because the complication of assessment of whether for past 3 years or 4 years, depending on the country you're talking about, whether the farming was done without using of chemicals, and then there are list of products which can be used for organic, right? And the farmers understanding that, because farmer is not having an encyclopedia with him that what products are organic, what are not organic. He just go by the label which is written on the product being sold to him by retailer. How do you see that these challenges impacting Madagascar? Because I've seen these challenges impacting country like whether it's India or Ethiopia, where also there is a very strong demand for organic, but unfortunately the processes are creating a lot of bottlenecks. How do you see that thing happening in Madagascar in particular and Africa in general?
Okay, thank you for the question. Something you have to understand, that the chemical is very expensive. That is the first thing, that there is no adding from the government to push the chemical in Madagascar. So it's a private ways. So it's not affordable for everybody. So that is the first thing that everybody have to understand. It's when it's not affordable, the growers are not going. If they make expensive, and when they don't have the money to buy in it, so they don't use it. So that is the, let's say, the most let's say, easy way to understand what is happening in Madagascar and even somewhere in Africa. Not all the countries have the same facilities. Some government are really pushing on this, let's say, green, let's say, revolution, but they put a lot of money on that. And what you have to understand is when you put a lot of money, you have to get some income on that. And what I see in Madagascar is that the farmers, they really don't want to give money and to have more money after that. They really want to keep, let's say, some value and adding more, little more by little more. So they don't want to push very fast, and that is and it's taking almost 2 to 5 years for project to getting in. So this is kind of historically and with the ground from the growers. The second thing from the let's say the inputs, because there is not only the chemical, you need all the phytoremediation, you know, from the, let's say, the little insect and also pest management. All of this need to, let's say, training. And there's no training about it back in the bush, because you need roads. And the road is far away from the city. If it takes 2 or 3 days by walking to bring this training, you see, the trainers are not coming. So when they're not coming, so they can't use it as well. So this is kind of, let's say, a development. You need the road, and you need the road to get the trainers and to get all these inputs. And this is very difficult. So the farmer preferring take the product, go to the town or to the port to bring their own products.
Perfect. Thanks, Gaëtan, a lot. In fact, lovely country you live in. You are blessed. I've like, you know, it's fascinating to be in Madagascar. And the beauty of Madagascar is that you see multiple layers, right? The old generation, the new generation, the modern generation, all living in harmony with each other. And Antinova, your capital, is such a beautiful city. Thanks. A pleasure having